what's going on. So I want to give a shout out to actor Bryan Cranston, Malcolm in the Middle, the actor. He's been around for a long time. And I was late to it, but it's never too late. Because, with all that mega garbage that goes on, he said that mega is a racist term. And I concur. Because he said if you're talking to a black American, when was America ever great again? And he told no lies. Um, you know, where do we get great from? Jim Crowism all the way to 1964, bussing, separate, unequal, and then you got Trump, and this is what you call 60 years later? How you going to tell somebody that it's great when you only had 60 years of legalized things documented on paper, and you just had black first president into 2008, and first black female vice president in what, 2020? Let that sink in. Three Supreme Court justices in the last 65, 70 years. Let that sink in. Jackie Robinson baseball in the last almost 80 years. NFL last 100. What and then the last 70 plus NBA. Think about work, entertainment, etc. The gaps between work, etc. And you're gonna say great again? That's the insult the intelligence. The denial and the institutionalized systematic racism is deep. When Ronald Reagan said that garbage, he was a bigot too. I never cared for. I don't be caring for these folks. Like, doesn't let's get something straight. They never go up to someone who's asked someone whose grandparents or parents had to go through Jim Crowism, had to be bussed, had to water fountains, theaters, places. They never ask nobody that's intelligent, intellectual, and someone who ain't sold out and shuffleboarding how they feel about said terms. They've never gone to no one to understand the totality. They just put a label on a hat to sell you. And think about it. A lot of what Trump takes from is Ronald Reagan's scare you tactics, the Richard Nixon scare you tactics. He uses a lot of all that old jargon, which was separated, and somehow tries to manipulate it in a way that he's, doing something that's grand new in the scheme of things. It's not. It's the old playbook. And Bryan Cranston called him out on it. Because how you gonna sit there and tell somebody black that this great again? What you define when people talk about the good old days? Oh, what getting lynched, dragged? Good old days, huh? Good old days when you were treated like three-fourths human, when you were like still bringing first, and you still have first in the country. Let that sink in. You still have first in the country. So when was it great again? You use a slogan to try to sell something, but you got to be actually good before you can be great. So when was it? I want to know. Police brutality, racial profiling, institutionalized systematic dictatorship. When you own something, let me know. When you have a say of something, let me know. Other words, all you're doing is just dancing in the circle. And it's this delusion of making people feel good who've been in some superiority complex. And the thing about it is, you will never ever have truth when you have that kind of notion going around. So yes, I always look at those hats like they racist. Of course I do. They don't have anything that says that you were included. But how were you? Because you weren't. And when people say make it great again, that's a code word. And you know what the code word is. And it doesn't look like anybody look like me. You know exactly what they're trying to do. So props to that actor for saying that. Respect him for telling the truth. And I always applaud, especially white folks who stay on, who signify what they about. Whether I agree or disagree. If you signify with me, then I know where you are. But the ones who be acting and then they get into them boosts and they be pushing that other lever, when they push that lever, they'll smile in your face and say, "Oh yeah, Kamala Harris, yeah, yeah." And then they come out and I don't want to hear nobody feeling sorry about how this thing's turned out. Because you know what you had in front of you, and it's there in front of you. And the agendas and the separatism and the racism is alive and well. You think I'll hear these people popping off in these streets, going into these black restaurants or businesses, or going into these things and saying the N-word and saying all this stuff, and then they looking for, because they're gonna stick their chest out like they Popeye and say Trump says mega, and you're gonna have to stoop down. And you know what they trying to do. You see what's up every day. It's all over. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm up one time. Peace.